to talk about starting seeds. So we're standing in the greenhouse here. My table is behind me. You can see the seeds that are growing, and have started to sprout. So I usually open the greenhouse on February 14th, or the middle of February, 14, 15, sometime in there. So we have seeds that take a long season to grow, and seeds that take short season to grow. So those that take a long season are things like onions. They take 100 to 110 to 120 days to grow. So they get started the very first thing as vegetables. And then in the flower category, we have some snapdragons, for instance. They take 100 to 110 days for their entire growing season. So in order to have them ready for your garden, I start them in February, and then you can get them in May and put them in the ground in May. So those are some of the criteria that I use to decide what goes first. And I have all sorts of charts that tell me how long things grow and how they grow, and I'm always looking at my germination charts. I'm looking at when, if I plant them this day, what day are they going to be ready? And this week I planted some prairie plants. I planted onions. I planted some flower plants, and the prairie plants I planted are butterfly milkweed to attract the monarch butterflies, and some echinacea. And many of you know purple coneflower is good for tea and for your immune system and that. So those are long growing seasons, and so they're in my pots right now. And so I start with the soil in different containers, and the containers also are specific to what kinds of seeds. So there's some long narrow rows, and they take a lot of seed, and that seed needs like really a good warmth to keep going. They can't have um, they can't go from 60 to 90 in one day. They need a good steady growth. Some seeds are pretty resilient, and they can take anything that goes. But the different pots, the soil, we put them in the pots, then we plant the seeds, and then we move them to the warming table. Now this warming table is something that Larry and I built, and it's really wonderful. It's a comes from the design comes from a friend of mine, and we looked all over the websites and for warming tables, and heck, my good friend Laura in eastern Iowa said, this is how I did it. So we made a similar table. It's a 4x8 plywood, and it has insulation on it, 2 inches of insulation, and then some sand. And then we lay pipe, tubing, PEX, if you know what PEX is for plumbing. We laid it in a zigzaggy fashion all through the sand table, and then put another layer of sand on it. So the seeds get warm from the bottom up. Most seeds take 60 to 80 degrees to germinate well. The pepper seeds need a little bit more warmth than that, but most everything 76 degrees is a good example. And our warming table, we have underneath the warming table we have a tub full of water that has a heater in it that also has a pump in it. So the pump, we plug the pump in, and it circulates the water through the warming table, and the heat, of course, heats the temperature of the water. And it says right now that the heat is 97 degrees in the tank. And so these are really toasty seeds. They're right at 80 degrees right now. I keep thermometers, every kind of thermometer you can think of. We keep all around the greenhouse in order to keep track of what temperature is what where, and so it's a lot to keep track of, but it's also kind of interesting. I come in the morning, and I have a temperature thermometer that tells me the minimum maximum, so I know what the minimum was outside and the maximum was and inside and outside. So this morning it was 31 outside, and it was 32 in the greenhouse. And I cover these up at night, so we're not heating the whole greenhouse now. And now I'm standing in the greenhouse, and it's probably getting to be about 80 degrees. So it's getting bright and sunny, and so the warming table, the thermometer, levels off. And so that's about what it takes to start seeds in February. And that's today's greenhouse update.